What up, everybody? It is G.C.R. Productions here, and welcome back to another episode of Exploring Abandoned Railroad Crossings on Google Maps. That's right, guys. It has been very long. I know you guys have been waiting, but here is episode 9 of Exploring Abandoned Railroad Crossings on Google Maps. Now, like I said, I did explain this in a previous community post. I'm sorry for taking so long to get these episodes out. I've just been wanting to get more of my videos from my travels out first, and then I will make another episode of this. So I guess this is proof that the series is not canceled. So yeah, I guess before we get started, thank you guys for so much for the support. It has been absolutely insane, and yeah, the comments and requests, I get them every day. It's been absolutely crazy. So yeah, and I guess before I get too many, I decided to make another one since you guys have been waiting very patiently. Now, if you guys, if this is your guys' first time watching this series, this is how it works. So on this series, I obviously go on Google Maps, obviously, and then I go to your guys' requests, your commented requests. That's right, you guys. You guys heard that right. This series is based on your guys' requests. So then I go to your comments and then go to that, location somewhere in the U.S. or Canada and explore that railroad crossing, giving out information on the equipment that I know of, and also the history of the rail line and the crossing itself, if that's provided or if I know it. So yeah, pretty much this series is just me yapping about railroad crossings and reaching out to the railroad crossing and rail fanning community in such a pictured form video. Nothing more, nothing less. So yeah, guys, this is going to be quite a lot of fun. I got a ton of requests ever since I made episode 8. Once again, thank you guys so much for all the support and requests. And if you guys have a really cool railroad crossing that you guys want to show me for me to explore and pretty much want me to put in the next episode, comment it down below, comment the coordinates or link down below on this video. Yeah, this video only. No, you don't comment it on like part 3 or part 2 of this series. Comment it on this video so it's easy for me to locate, easy for me to get to and all that good stuff. Or if you know me personally, you could DM me on Discord via the link or coordinates. Yes, you guys heard that right. I do have a Discord account. If you guys want me to shoot me a friend request, the details are in the About tab of my channel. And I ran out of breath while saying that, so I guess with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get the exploration started. Moving on to our first crossing. So here we go. Alright, and the first crossing I'm going to show is located on Country Club Road in Fairview, Texas. And this one has been requested by my good buddy Caleb, aka Pyrotech4051. Now, he has requested a handful of crossings for me to tour, so I guess let's go ahead and zip through these. So yeah, for Country Club Road, I believe this was previously owned by a union. Actually, what is that? Ah, frickin' dang it, the dot tag is upside down. Let me try reading that. Actually, let me go ahead and look up the dot number on rail crossing located. So 76339C. Or whoops, that was actually what it looked like in the past, and which I'll show in a second. Anyway, let's look up the dot number and the Dallas, Garland, and Northeastern Railroad, which is another subsidiary of the Genesee in Wyoming. But yeah, this crossing right here used to be a short line crossing, which is now abandoned today, and this is what it looks like today. Ever since then, they cleaned up the tracks like a lot, even though they're still very rusty, but they're still, still over. But they cut down a lot of the overgrown stuff. So you can see the tracks out of service and exempt sign, both on the Crossbuck crossing, and I already mentioned the upside down dot tag. Now, if I go back in the past, this is what the crossing used to look like with its equipment. Now, they still had the exempted tracks out of service signs on the old signals, but this is what they had. Looks like some really old Rayco cantilevers, which is pretty cool. Some Rayco cantilevers, some Rayco 8-inch lights and light brackets, as well as a Rayco mechanical bell. And as you can see, the backgrounds and visors are very rusted on these signals. And yep, there's the mechanical bell, and you can see one of them's pointing facing down. So if I go back in time, let's see if these signals still had their mast lights back then. Nope, not there. In 2007, 2007, that's when it looked the cleanest. Yeah, it's quite interesting just to see how overgrown these abandoned crossings become over the years. Like 2022, it kind of looks like a forest. Actually, no, it actually doesn't look as bad as I thought. Okay, and you can see that the rail has been cut right there. Like, yeah, the rail has been cut. That is funny. But yeah, you can see how, the rail was cut. Is it still cut today? No. Where'd the rail go? Oh, there it is. Like, I guess they cut it off and they welded it back in? I don't know. Maybe this crossing is probably, like, accepting, like, this crossing right here, probably just other direction of it is used as storage only. Who knows? But yeah, this is definitely an interesting crossing. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next request that he made. Also, there's the rest of the tracks, quote-unquote-age. You can see, used to exist back then. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's move on to Pyrotech's next request, or Caleb. Alright, and this next request that he's going to show me is actually a crossing that he's shown me before, located at East Rutherford Street or State Road 14 in Landrum, South Carolina. And this crossing had some pretty interesting equipment in the past. And the history on this, I might not remember this fully, so I apologize for any inaccurate information. That this crossing was a part of the NS Saluda line, which eventually became the infamous steep-ass Saluda grade. And I believe it's either that or a part of the W line. It has something in correlation with like the old Saluda grade or an XACL line. Actually, wait, no, that's CSX. Ah, dang it. Like I said, my memory is shot right now, so I'm sorry if that was inaccurate, but they'll take a look at the equipment here. You can see that there's a lot of old Safetran elements here, like old gate mechanisms, incandescent lights, cantilevers, and way back in the day, this is the most interesting part of the crossing. This crossing right here used to have preemption signals that still worked, even on the day after the day this crossing was abandoned. Check this out. It was the 12-12-8s of style of preemption signals. You can see there they are, do not stop on tracks, and they have the flashing bottom yellow light. And also the lights, after this crossing was abandoned sometime in the early 2000s, you can see that they used to be bagged up. You can see clearly here, but then later on, sometime between 2021 or actually sometime in 2021, you can see the bags were starting to tear off from all the weathering and stuff. And I believe that the preemption signal stood all the way up until sometime in the early 2010s or late 2000s, like in 2009 or something. But it's pretty crazy to see that they were still here, still functioning, even after the crossing was abandoned. But yeah, this was definitely an interesting one, that I guess I finally toured in my abandoned rail crossing series. Now let's go on to the next crossing that he asked me to tour. Actually, as I think about it, maybe Norfolk Southern did get their hands on a few ACL lines, as I think about it. I don't know, I gotta go talk to him again. But anyways, let's move on to his next request, which is located here on Simmons Street, West Simmons Street in Landrum, South Carolina. And this crossing is actually just a few ways down from the crossing I just looked at Rutherford Street. Now, this crossing, like I said, is a part of the same line. I believe it's NS. Actually, I think he told me a DM. Let me look. Actually, I can't really find any details, but however, though, the funny part about this crossing, I think it's this crossing or another crossing. Being real, I'm pretty wrong most of the time, so it's probably another crossing. This crossing right here, I went back to 10 years ago when the lights were bagged up. But yeah, this crossing right here had its equipment upgraded, like, not even a month or so, like just before it was abandoned. The equipment on this crossing has been upgraded, which is absolutely hilarious. Like, you could see the USNS Model 95 gate mechanisms as well as the E-bell on top. The lights are incandescent, but that's Norfolk Southern. They use incandescent lights a lot. But it's absolutely hilarious how I saw that this crossing is abandoned right after it's been upgraded. But yeah, it's kind of a waste of equipment if you ask me. So there's that at Simmons Street and the same line. So let's move on to his next request. Alright, and the next one that he requested is located on US 221A Highway in Forest City, South Carolina. And this crossing has been owned by a short line. It looks like a short line of some sort in the past. I tried looking it up, but I found no information. It's like the crossing has been deleted off the database. But you can see that this crossing right here once again features a nice little old cantilever with incandescent lights. It looks like Modern Industries with no mast lights. And you can see the dot number is also spray painted on the cantilever mast itself, and you could also see that the rails no longer cross the road. They have been cut off right here, and you can see the relay case and where the other cantilever used to be. There's its foundation. So yeah, and if I go back in time, I think I'll be able to find it. let me see here. Yep, there it is in 2016. Yep, there it is. Seems like to be the same setup, and this looks like it has an E-bell. I'm not sure when this one was abandoned, but it was probably sometime in the early 2000s. It looks like a GS Type 1, or maybe it's a Type 2, who knows. And yeah, it's quite... Wait a second. So you're telling me that wasn't the old cantilever? This wasn't the cantilever foundation? There used to be another cantilever signal here, I guess, but they replaced it sometime? I don't know. This is odd. That's funny. Like how the friggin' predecessor cantilever foundation is still here, even though this one took its place already. So yeah, that was his next request. Now let's move on to his final two requests. Alright, and his next request is located between Kentucky Street and Oakland Road in Spindale, South Carolina. And you can see that, yeah, as you can see, this is another one where the rails has been turned into a trail. And you can see that one of the signals actually remain. You can see there's the big cantilever. It looks like another old safe trans setup. You can see, kind of cool to see it still stand here after all these years. Now, if I go back in time, it's kind of neat, like I said, even though I had this feature for a while now in this series, that the mobile is finally compatible with the time travel feature. And yeah, it looks like it was just this cantilever that stood for now, but you can see the relay cases over there and where the rails used to lay, but you can see it's been later turned into a trail. But it's been rails for a while, it looks like. Oh yeah, that's when they were starting to turn it into a trail, and yeah, there's the trail. But yeah, that is his next request. Now let's move on to his final request that I decided to put in the video, which is this one located on State Road South in, I think it was North Charleston, South Carolina. But yeah, and this is the final request I decided to put in this video. And once again, we're continuing the theme of old cantilevers and that are extremely faded. You can see this one has two crossbucks that used to be a part of a thorough road that's been closed down. You can see where the mast lights used to be with the gutted light bracket on the mast. And over here we got another cantilever, which I believe is complete, or two more cantilevers that have been completely stripped down to nothing. Yeah, you can see that these are another pair of old safe train cantilevers. You can see that they closed down the road right here for some reason. I guess this was a part of an old industrial thing. You can see some traffic lights that still guard it. Oh, it's one of those with the dotted LEDs too. You can see some of them are burnt out. Kind of cool. So if I go back in time, let's see if the lights and stuff were ever there. And, well, looks like 2007 was the last time they were seen. Yeah, you can see one of the visors are missing in the bottom pairs, and you can see the lights there, and oh, looks like the mechanical bell still stood at that time too. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bell, shall we? Maybe it was like the one singular bell. I can't really tell what that is from here. Maybe it's a Wabco mechanical bell? I don't know. It looks a little tall. But yeah, that was all there is to show for Kale's request. Thank you so much for all the requests. I'm sorry for the scuffed information and rushed touring. Now, from now on, I'm probably going to limit the amount of requests per person for 3 crossings per person because I can see it could get a little bit out of hand. But once again, these were all pretty cool, so thank you once again, Caleb, for the request. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing requested by the next person. So yeah, let's get on with that. Alright, and the next crossing is located on Huntsville Road in Florence, Alabama. And this crossing has been requested by my buddy Trainboy1522 Productions. He actually sent me this crossing last night, and my apologies, you might see some like notifications like that because I plugged this into my very broken charger just now. But yeah, I guess with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at this crossing. Now, this crossing looks like, I'm not totally sure about the history on this, but this to me looks like an old late 70s, early 80s NS install, judging from all the Satran, and also a rather cool element right there, which I'll show in a second. But yeah, this is continuing the theme of old Satran, like such as old Satran incandescent lights and cantilevers, and I believe this has a mechanical bell. Yep, it has Satran mechanical bell as well, right up there. And once again, here's the look at the rails. Absolutely overgrown. I don't know how they installed the rails there. Look at that. Look at how hilly that is. I mentioned the NS Saluda grade earlier, and that is pretty steep. Dang it, hold on. Anyway, sorry about that. I had to plug this into my other charger because the one I was just using is pretty shot up. But as I was saying, the Saluda grade is pretty steep. This is also pretty steep, and I also see some hopper cars over there. I wonder what those are doing. But yeah, so yeah, as you can see, there's a old Satran cantilever, old incandescent lights, and a mechanical bell, like I just said. But Check this out. This crossing also features some GRS Lex C plastic lights, the 12 by 20 inch ones, which are the rare ones, which is pretty cool. And I believe this other signal has a pair of them too. Oh, yep, it does. But except this only has one half of a Lexi plastic light. That is cool. And it looks like the 2 track sign was also like inverted. Here, let me go back in time. Go back in time and see if there's any been changes. It don't exactly look like it. It just looks like that this has been torn up. Yeah, this is what the crossing looks like today. The overhead and mast lights have been torn off on this cantilever. The side lights still remain though, and this cantilever has been completely unscathed. That is interesting. But yeah, once again, thank you Train Boy for the request. This was a pretty interesting one, and you can see that the hopper cars have been replaced by what it looks like Bethagons. What? Oh, this must be like a storage spur or something. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. That is interesting. Just one singular hopper car. Oh, there's another crossing here. Oh, I didn't notice that. Let's check this out. This crossing might still be active though, but yeah, this one's pretty cool too. It has like another incandescent light mechanical bell setup, and it just looks like it says, what does it say? It looks like it just says NS, but that can't be true because that's not what NS dot tags look like. Let's check out the other dot tag if I can see it. I can't really find it. Okay, so I guess this crossing right here is still, I mean, it might be still active, but it could be abandoned as well. And also, this goes back to my previous point that I made in my previous episode that, if you're gonna send me a rail crossing, please make sure it's abandoned, because there has been some moments where I toured a crossing or two that wasn't actually abandoned, like the tracks may have been overgrown, but it still get used every now and then, or maybe the crossing equipment is just old, but the railroad is still active. Just make sure it's abandoned, alright? That's all I'm saying. But yeah, once again, thank you Train Boy for the request. This was pretty neat. So I guess with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. Alrighty, and the next crossing is located on Grand Avenue East in Chatham, Ontario, Canada. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yep, that's right, a Canadian crossing. And this one has been requested by Matthew7090. Now, this crossing also obviously has some pretty interesting things going on, but it also has some history. So this abandoned crossing is on the former CSX Sarnia spur that used to run until around the late 2000s and early 2010s. The farthest in street view for it is in 2009. As you can see, as he's provided in the comments. And now in 2024, the signals are still there, and you can see that they paved the road over the tracks, and the spell is still on it, which is actually an E-bell. But yeah, so as you can see, this is a part of the old CSX Sarnia spur. Pretty cool stuff. So as you can see today, this has a couple of old Rayco, or I think these are Safetran. These are either Safetran or Rayco, and it looks like, I can't really tell. Yup, it's an old Safetran cantilever, and as you can see, there are no mast lights or crossbucks anymore on this, but if you look here, the overhead lights are Safetran 8-inch lights that are missing the backgrounds. Kind of looks cool, yet funky, and you can see there's some stuff wrapped around it or something, or maybe it looks like they're melted and corroded off. It looks very rough, but you can see the old visors and light heads are still there. Looks rather funky. Oh shoot, my window is open and I think people are shooting guns out here. Yeah, this has been recorded on solar eclipse day of 2024, but this is being uploaded about a week after that. It's kind of funny. But yeah, if I go back in time, you can see, oh, so the bags were on the lights. Oh, would you look at that? Oh, I thought that was falling, but no, that's hanging on by a thread. It looks like the bags over the lights. Yeah, let's go back further. Oh wow, would you look at that? The backgrounds are still there, and then they removed the backgrounds and bagged them up in 2018. But you can see that the glorious Rayco 8-inch lights are still in full form back in 2016, and you can see the mast lights were still here too. Yep, and there's the crossbucks. Really neat stuff, I ain't gonna lie here. You can see the E-bell is still there, and if I go back, the E-bell is still there. Okay, so this line did run, like you said, up until the early 2010s. It's kind of neat how you know, you can see 2 points of views of the crossing when it was still active, and then now in the now time when it's abandoned. I really like crossings like that when you get 2 different perspectives. But yeah, I guess that's all there is to show for this crossing. You see the tracks right here, they're overgrown, as well as the relay case. Very, very old and interesting stuff. So thank you, Matthew7090, for the request. This was definitely a unique one, especially since that it's also in Canada. So I guess with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. All right, and the next crossing is located on Boulevard in Dayton, Ohio, and this crossing has been requested by Roblox Railfan 872. Now, this crossing right here, he said that this crossing used to be owned by an NS line of some sort that they've since ripped out back in like late 2019 or so. And yeah, and he told me just to go back in time to see it because as you can see, this is what it looks like today. It is completely gone other than the tracks, and I think they're in the process of removing them. But yeah, so here's the crossing itself, and you can see this is continuing on the old theme. Well, this is not Safe Tran, never mind that. But yeah, so this crossing, as you can see, has a bunch of old 8-inch lights. It looks like either Western Colon Hayes or WRS. And you can see that there's a couple of, there's the old cantilevers here, which are old Modern Industries cantilevers. And I believe, actually, yeah, these are old Modern Industries lights and Western Colon Hayes lights sitting on Modern Industries light brackets. You can see a couple of old Western Colon Hayes gate mechanisms, as you can see. Really interesting stuff for an NS install. And you can see an old Satran mechanical bell what used to be here too. And obviously, since the crossing's abandoned, you can see they removed the gates. Quite neat stuff. Now, Dayton, Ohio is a well-known rail fanning spot, and it's kind of neat to see that they used to have some abandoned stuff laying around too. So yeah, here are the tracks. Obviously, they're overgrown. If I go to the now time, you can see that they've mowed it. Yeah, you can see they mowed it a little bit. You can see, what is that, an old switch? Looks like an old switch. Let me go back a little bit further. Yep, this is 2007, and wow, the gates are still here back then. Even in 2011, the gates are still here. Hold on, when did the gates get removed? Between 2015 and 2017, it looks like. Oh, wow, did you look at that? The dot tags are still here in 2015. And let me see if I can see the dot number. And it doesn't look like it because it's blurry since the Street View guy took this at dawn. So yeah, or dusk. Is it dawn or dusk for night? Comment below. But yeah, once again, this was a cool crossing. Definitely unique for an NS install. So thank you, Roblox Railfan 872. And he also asked me to go check out East 5th Street over here. So let's go ahead and check that out quickly. Alright, so here's 5th Street, which obviously this crossing doesn't exist anymore as well, and this was a little far from the other crossing. So yeah, let's go ahead and go back in time and see where it's at. I can't find it. Aha, found it. So it looks like that these two crossings, or these two signals right here, they are still standing, but obviously they have no gates anymore. So he said this has also been owned by NS in the past, and I believe it's the same line, but I could be wrong. You can see a couple more mass signals further down the line. Kind of neat stuff. Now let's go back in time and see if we could see, like, the gates and whatnot. What is that noise? Oh, they're playing a movie in the living room. All right, there we go. So here is here's the gates on the crossing. You can see the old Safe Tran 8-inch lights in their full glory. Very, very cool. So thank you once again, Roblox Railfan 872 for the requests. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. Alright, and the next crossing right here is located on East State of Franklin Road here in Johnson City, Tennessee. And this crossing has been requested by Dylan the Video Maker 2003. Now, this is one out of 2 crossings that he's requested, and this one has some interesting history. So first of all, you can see the current goofy crossbook setup that just says bump. Like, they just totally threw the tracks just out of the trash, like, into the trash. Like, it's just a bump now, just don't worry about the tracks. And the history on this, that way back then, well, not way back then, but let me go back in time so you guys could see. Actually, hold on. Whoops, I think this is the wrong crossing. This is kind of goofy though anyway, I decided to show it. Alright, here's the actual crossing right here, continuing the theme of cantilevers. As you can see, he said in the comments that this was an old Modern Industries setup, as you can see. Old Modern Industries cantilevers and incandescent lights, 12 by 20 and 24 inch. You can see that this used to curve around from a main line across to here and runs parallel with the road. Really cool stuff. And he said that this crossing was owned by the East Tennessee Railway, and Norfolk Southern used to back some cars all the way down to their small yard from here up until about 15 years ago, and now as of today they dropped them off at another part of their line, leaving this crossing and section of the line abandoned. Now this crossing right here, like I said, it has some pretty interesting, pretty old equipment, and he said back then that this crossing used to have 2 USNS mechanical bells. Yep, there they are. 2 USNS mechanical bells, definitely really cool. And the lights also used to have bags on them, but they have been removed at some point, he said. But let's go ahead and try to take a look. I mean, all they did was turn them to the side, but yeah, definitely really neat find with the USNS equipment, mechanical bells, and also some pretty cool history. Here's the relay case on it. See some old faded information that's faded away. And there's the junction where it goes back up to the main line and where the tracks curve. Now, these aren't super overgrown, but they're definitely obviously abandoned just from the conditions of them. But yeah, this was pretty neat. And you can see a Yeehaw Brewing Co. next to it. Kind of funny. So yeah, this is the first crossing he's requested. Now let's go on to move on to the second one he's requested, which is right here located on Coburn Road near Coburn, Virginia. And yeah, as you can see, it's technically just outside the town limits. It's technically not Coburn, Virginia, he said, but it's, as you can see, this crossing right here is a rather old and unique setup. Wow, look at this. Look at that old cantilever, and you can see there's just a mass signal there, modernized with an E-bell. And this crossing is rather interesting, he says, which I could definitely see, obviously. So the history on this, it's on a small branch lane that was originally owned by the L&N, and then it went into CSX's ownership about a decade ago when the only customer on the line shut down, so that's pretty much what caused it to be abandoned. And as you can see, this crossing features a pair of gateless signals, one cantilever, one mast, and you can see that this one up here is a USNS cantilever, USNS 8-inch lights, and a USNS teardrop bell, although it's really hard to tell due to the low 15-year-old quality of this picture. But you can see up there, that's the old bell. You can see the old CSX dot tags. Wow, this definitely has like a beautiful nostalgia look, don't it? And he says that this bell right here is a General Signals E-bell, which he believes is a GS Type 1 E-bell. Wow, this crossing must have had one heck of a bell combo back then. But yeah, this is definitely a really, really cool crossing. I kind of like this one better than the first one, being honest with you. So yeah, this was definitely, these two were definitely interesting. Here's the tracks. I believe this wraps around like the Appalachians or something. That's what it looks like to me. Like, these look very mountainous roads and tracks, and definitely very cool tracks and crossing signals. So once again, thank you, Dylan the Video Maker 2003, for both of the requests. Or not once again. Whoa, you go. Holy shoot, there was like two people racing down this road. Like, there was an Impala and another car just going at it. Somebody's gonna get hurt at the very least. Well, that was something, and I caught that on video unofficially. But yeah, going back to the video topic, thank you, Dylan, for the request. This was definitely really cool. I really like the old signals and mountainous aesthetic here, owned by an old L&N branch. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. All right, and the next crossing right here is located on South 7th Street in Shelton, Wisconsin, and this one's been requested by Fa 100 years ago. All right, then. So this crossing right here, I'm not sure exactly on the information on it, but you can see here's the dot number, owned by the Shelton something company, so it's like a short line railroad of some sort. But yeah, as you can see, this crossing right here, it is once again very overgrown, continuing the theme with cantilevers as well as removed gates. Yep, I've been noticing a trend in this video as well, where we have removed gates. So as you can see, the lights are all turned to the side, which are all Modern Industries lights. And that's also another theme I've been noticing, Modern Industries. You see, they're all turned to the side, either that or falling off. And you can see that the cantilevers right off the bat have a couple of big old tracks out of service signs which replace the crossbucks. And as you can see, here are the gate mechanisms, which appear to be old Satran gate mechanisms with the Modern Industries framed arms, as you can see, which is pretty neat. It's kind of common. It was kind of common for like old Norfolk Southern or other short lines or like other thriving lines to use those kind of gate arms in the past, even though I found some of the CN Flint stuff, as you guys may know. But yeah, this crossing right here features an electronic bell. Not totally sure what type of General Signals that is. Probably Type 1 or Type 2. But yeah, you can see here's the gate mechanisms, what it looks like in the past, back when it still had its all equipment, and it looks like it had LEDs in the lights. Maybe this was back at the time when it was still active. Yeah, maybe that's a possibility. And it kind of looks like these lights have LEDs in them, but I'm not 100% sure. I think these are like old Leotech LEDs. That's what it looks like. Yeah, quite interesting. Maybe this crossing was just abandoned sometime in the early to mid 2010s. Quite interesting. Maybe they just didn't need to use it anymore, so here's a no trespassing sign over there, and an old switch stand, which is pretty cool. So here are the old tracks over here, front and back. Now, I guess even though I should have said this earlier, but my buddy Caleb, or Pyrotech4051, sent me another request that I really wanted to put in this video. It had a cantilever that was been turned into a huge trail sign. So, Caleb, if you're watching this, can you resend me that crossing? I'll feature it in the next episode. But anyways, going back to this crossing, sorry if I sound like I'm crapping all over the other guy, but yeah. So here is South 7th Street in Sheldon, Washington. Did I say Wisconsin accidentally? I might have accidentally said Wisconsin. If I did, then I'm sorry. I meant to say Washington State. Pretty cool stuff. Definitely a very cool Northwestern America aesthetic. So thank you, Fa, for the request 100 years ago. But yeah, here's the relay case of the crossing. Here's the dot number. 4800, or is that the phone number? I have no idea. Is that the dot number up there, which is... I still can't read that. Oh well. And we already hit the 30-minute mark? Wow. Is it me, or is time going by like really freaking fast today? Well, it is solar eclipse day, so some weird things are happening. So yeah, I guess if that's out of the way, thank you for the request. This is a cool crossing. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. Now, the next crossing right here, which is rather interesting, and you can only see in one very low-quality timeline, as you can see, and which is located on the intersection of Dowman Street and Fisk Street, both in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And this crossing has been requested by AP, or Amanda P569 is her channel handle. Now, this crossing right here, I'm not sure of the history on it. Maybe it was like an old fallen flag line or a short line in the past. But as you can see, if I go back here, you can see this is where the tracks used to cut across this entire intersection. And you can see the only thing remaining are the crossing boards or the crossing grade. However, this crossing right here is only protected by traffic lights, which is rather interesting. Like, there's a crossbuck over there, which is a rather neat 45-degree crossbuck. Here, let me go ahead and go over here and show you. Yep, look at that. There's an old 45-degree crossbuck right there, which is really cool. And you can see that this crossing was once protected completely by old incandescent traffic lights that are looking like that jerry-rigged. It is very, very interesting. I've never seen something like this before with such, like, old jankiness, and as well as like old crossbucks that used to be around. Let's see if I can find another one. Oh, is that it? No, that's not another crossbuck. I thought it was, but it looks like the only crossbuck I could find is that 45-degree one over there, which has another sign on it of some sort. Can't really see because that truck's in the way. Gosh dang it. Oh well. Oh yeah, there's a sign. It looks like it's one of them tracks out of service signs. But yeah, that is pretty interesting. There isn't really much to check out here other than the crossing grades and the traffic light and the one crossbuck. So this was pretty interesting nonetheless. So thank you, AP or Amanda, for the request. So I guess with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. Alright, and the next crossing right here is located on River Avenue and Sherburn Avenue here in Gardner, Maine. Jeez. It's another far East Coast crossing, and this one has been requested by Jonathan Letza. And now this crossing right here, he said, has been owned by the Maine Central Railroad in the past, and it's right along the Kennebec River, and he told me just to go along it to find it. But yeah, as you can see, this crossing right here features some couple of old mast signals with what looks like a Safe Train or Rayco mechanical bell, as well as all Western Cullen Hayes 8-inch lights. And you can see that they slapped on the exempt signs as well. And yeah, this is kind of a neat aesthetic, like a railroad along a river. Must be beautiful rail fanning here whenever it was active back in the day. So here's the relay case right there, and you can see the old smart meter next to it as well. And he said it was abandoned, but at the same time, I'm looking at it, and it might be still active, but I'm not 100% sure. But he said it was abandoned, so I'm just gonna, I guess, take his word for it. But you can see that the rails are obviously very rusty, and I'm surprised they're not really that overgrown. They're just rusty and full of ballast. Yeah, it's quite interesting. But yeah, this is definitely a cool crossing. Oh, would you look at that? Federal Signal 8-inch light as well. You can see there's some Federal Signal lights in the mix on Harmon light brackets. And you can see that this, once again, has a Safe Train mechanical bell. Like, I really do like the variety here. I like the mix and mash with all the lights and bells and whatnot that the Maine Central put. So thank you, Jonathan, for the request. This was a cool one. Now let's go ahead and move on to, I guess, the next crossing. Now, the next crossing is a rather interesting one that I've actually drove close to before, and also, interestingly enough, this crossing has been requested by two different people. Now, this is located on Vancouver Street in Detroit, Michigan, and this one has been requested by Video Lover is Really Ticked at YouTube, as well as Michigan Railfan Enthusiast. Actually, wait, did he request this crossing? No, he requested Theodore Street in Detroit, Michigan. Oh, he must be talking about that one crossing owned by the Detroit Terminal Railway, which that is still active, by the way. But yeah, so I guess with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at this crossing. Now, this crossing right here is owned by like what appears to be a branch line off of the CSX Detroit subdivision, which is rather interesting, in which I've done some research on like railroads around Detroit before, and this one kind of interests me the most because I wonder what the heck this line is, to be exact. Like, what it's used by. Like, there's locals, there's a yard nearby, but then this crossing not this crossing, but the line goes like a few miles, and then it just cuts right off. And this is one of the crossings on it, and apparently the road has been closed pretty much just this entire time, or maybe sometime after this crossing was installed. So this crossing right here features a typical classic, like, 90s CSX setup, or before then, maybe like a C&O chassis system setup, with 8-inch lights. So you can see that that's an old like GRS or Transport Products light bracket, and you can see the other signals. And this crossing features two General Signals E-bells. Both of them I think are Type 1s. Maybe they're both Type 2s or one of them's Type 2, who knows. But you can see that this signal right here sits on a rather huge base. Looks like the base of one of them Griswald EM gate mechanisms, but I'm not sure. But you can see this has 3 tracks. You can see it's all like, you know, bricked off. And if I go back in time, you can see that it's been always like this. Like, people dump their trash everywhere. It's kind of a sad sighting. Oh no, it's not sitting on a big block base. It just has a big WRS clamp-on style box with the clamp-on style base. And these look like cast iron 8-inch lights too. Or I think those are. But yeah, rather interesting stuff. And if I go back in time, you can see a CSX high railer just chilling here. Maybe they're taking a look at the crossing. Well, there's a relay case right there. Now, this really got me curious that, I'm not sure. I think this line is still active. It might be abandoned. I wonder if a train goes through here. I wonder if the crossing still works. Like, does it activate even though the road is closed? It might be cut off of power, but at the same time, there is that slight chance that this crossing might still activate if a train goes through. That's my biggest question with this crossing. But yeah, it's definitely a really neat one, so thank you for the request, even though it's more of a request from myself than anything. Well, kind of, because it's been requested to me first, and then I was like, you know what, I'll tour it in my next episode of Abandoned Railroad Crossings. Now, the funniest part is that this little spur or industrial line off of the CSX Detroit sub has a diamond, which crosses over some tracks from the CSAO. Yeah, look at this. It's protected by stop signs. That is hilarious. And you can see that this is also a branch line off the CSAO. I believe this is where the boat yard local comes and goes. I think. I might be wrong, but at the same time, look at this diamond. This might be like the most inactive diamond in history. I mean, look at the stop signs. That's hilarious. But yeah, I guess with all that said and checked out, I might do more research on this line. Maybe I'll visit it in person, comment below. So I guess with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next crossing. Alright, and the next crossing, which is pretty cool, this one's located on 155th Street West in Burnsville, Minnesota. And this one has been requested by the ETRR Railfan 01 or Southwestern Railfan. And this crossing right here obviously has a couple of rather old Griswold rotating stop sign signals. Check this out. That one right there, the most of the signal is still there, while this one is pretty much missing in its entire top half. Now, I believe that this crossing was another old crossing owned either by the DMIR or the Erie Mining Company. I think that's what it's called. Either way, this is definitely an old crossing, and he said that this most definitely has not seen a train in over 20 years. So yeah, here's like the first base of the rotating stop sign signal, the Griswold, signal, and here's the other one. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at it. So here are the lights on it, which are Griswold Type C 8-inch lights, I believe, with like the Satran or Rayco style light heads, and you can see where the crossbuck used to be. Now let's go back in time and see if like any others been left over. Oh wow, look at this. There's the other signal with the lights all bejumbled up. But if I go back in time, you can see the signals were mostly intact, and you can see an exempt sign on one of them. Definitely a really, really cool historical install. Definitely really neat to see these still stand here. Well, most of one of them, and while the other one's pretty much all torn up to heck. So, thank you for ETR Railfan01 for the request. Now, he has actually requested 4 crossings, but I'm probably only going to show 2. And I'm probably going to show a second one here in a moment, but I just want to just look at this and, you know, observe per se. So here's the tracks, which are obviously overgrown. You can see that side's a forest, while this side is also a forest, but not so much more. Here's the relay case, I believe. That is a big relay case for 2 Griswald signals. Well, then again, maybe those like rotating stop sign motors use a lot of voltage. So if I go back in time, I believe this crossing did not have bells. It was pretty common for these rotating stop sign signals to not have bells, while some of them did, but those are exceptionally more rare. But yeah, so I guess that's what the crossing looks like kind of completed. You can see the stop signs are all taken out as well. So yeah, thank you so much for this request. This is definitely cool. And now let's go ahead and take a look at your other one. Now, I know I'm not doing every single request in this video, mainly because I'm kind of on borrowed time right now. I don't want this video to be longer than 45 minutes since, you know, I don't think anybody's going to watch a video that long. Who knows? They might. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to ETR Railfan's next request. Which this one right here, which is located on North Cherokee Lane in Lodi, California. Now this crossing right here, he said that the Southern Pacific used to run through here, which is pretty neat. So as you can see here, this crossing right here involves another pair of really old cantilevers. Now he told me that this is all USNS equipment, as you can see. So here's the USNS cantilever, 8-inch lights, and he also told me that there used to be 2 USNS teardrop bells here. Yeah, like 2 of them. Here, let me go back in time and see if they were here at one point. Maybe they were. I just gotta look even further. 2009. Oh, there they are. There's the teardrop bells. I believe that's one of them, and oh yep, it got removed. So yep, here's a teardrop bell. And I think the other one's also, yep, I can kind of see it through the trees. But yeah, here's the relay case, which is a very tall masted one. Here, let me go over here. Yep, there it is. I believe that's the old relay case that connects via telephone pole. Definitely really cool. Here's the tracks, which used to exist. You can see through the sand. Let me see if I can go back further. These look paper thin. Oh, wait, no, those are just shadows. Yeah, the tracks have been long taken out, but the signals, they still stand. Maybe the teardrop bells were, like, poached, or not poached, what am I talking about? They were taken by like, you know, crossing enthusiasts, crazy crossing enthusiasts, or like scrappers, who knows? But yeah, either way, this is definitely a really cool piece of history. Thank you once again, Southwestern Railfan, for these 2 requests. Now let's go ahead and move on to the final set of crossings of this video, and I promise to answer more requests in the next video because, you know, I've received a ton. Like, I mean a ton. I can't do them all, guys. I'm sorry. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the last set of requests, in which these ones are pretty cool. Let's check them out. Alright, and one of the last 2 crossings I'm going to be touring is located on Northwest Timber Road here in Forest Grove, Oregon. So yeah, this is like between Railroad Street and Northwest Timber Road in Forest Grove, Oregon. Now this crossing right here, obviously it's been long removed, so we're gonna go ahead and go back in time to see it. Back in 2007, and right here, as you can see, this crossing used to have a wigwag. Now, before I forget, these couple of crossings I'm going to be viewing are both requested by Gummy Vlad or Gummy Mario 8559, and he requested like 4 or 5 crossings for me to tour, but I'm only going to do 2 just for, you know, time-saving reasons. Like I said, guys, I know I've been receiving all kinds of requests, and they're all really cool, but I'm only going to have to limit them down to like 2 or 3 per person. So yeah, here's the wigwag. And here's the lone crossbook that stands on the other side. Definitely really cool. I really like, once again, the Northwestern America aesthetic. You can see there's the wigwag there, and the rails seem to be in good condition back then. I wonder what happened to this line. Maybe it was like an old, what was it? Not Southern Pacific. That would make no sense. But something, I'm not sure of the history of this crossing to be exact, but you can see, obviously, it's been taken out now. And where the wigwag used to stand, I think it was right here. No, it wasn't right there. That was like a part of the rail where it used to stand. So definitely they dug this thing hard off the ground. Yeah, they dug a hole, removed it, and there's like no trace of it left. Or maybe those are like a few wires left behind from it or something. But definitely really cool and historic sight to see. Probably, I would say it's probably one of my favorites. I don't want to pick favorites now. They're all really cool. So yeah, there's the wigwag request. There isn't much else to see here other than mountainous scenery and somehow shiny rails that are also empty. So yeah, that's that. That's his first request. Now let's go ahead and move on to the second request that I decided to choose out from him, from old Gummy Vlad. Let's go ahead and check it out. And this other one, which is pretty interesting, has some pretty rare equipment, I noticed. And this one's located on 45 North Highway 101 at Rockaway Beach, Oregon. And you can see that this crossing right here, I'm not sure if I believe the line's abandoned. You can see the overgrown tracks across, and you can see the Rocky Mountains in the background. Wow, absolutely beautiful scenery. I would love to go back to Montana where my grandma lives and railfan there again. I only say again because I railfan there before, but it was before I created my YouTube channel, and I was been always wanting to make more videos over there, but that's besides the point. So once again, I'm not 100% sure what the history was on this crossing. There are dot tags, but I can't really seem to comprehend them. But other than that, as you can see, this crossing features some Harman lights and Harman gate mechanisms. Check this out. Yep, those are Harman gate mechanisms. One of the gates still remain while the other one doesn't, and you can see all the lights are incandescent. And this has two mechanical bells. Not 100% sure what these were. Now this crossing right here, the signal sadly got removed sometime in 2018, and you can see that the crossings, oh wow, they were tearing them down in 2018 and putting crossbooks up. So maybe this line may be still active, and the crossing signals themselves are derelict. You can see when they were tearing them out, you can see, I guess, one of the hold clear mechanisms broke and one of them's down, and they took all the lights. So yep, there go all the lights in the gate mechanisms. Now let's go back further in time to see how bad this is. Oh wow, this is definitely very overgrown back then. I don't know how they cleaned it up now, but yeah. So here's the crossing in its full glory. Back in 2007, you can see they're about complete. So you can see that, and then if I go to this timeline, you can see where things start to fall apart quite literally. So yeah, there's the 2012 view, 2013, all that good stuff. So yeah, this was definitely, these two crossings you sent me were really cool, Gummy Vlad. Thank you so much for the request. Now I know I wasn't able to do everything in this video, but if you guys want me to do your guys' requests that I did not feature in this video, go ahead and resend them in the comments below. If I don't get too many requests, then I will review them for you guys. So I guess for now, that's the end of it. So yeah, guys, this was definitely a lot of fun to make. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely smash the like button and comment below some suggestions and pointers that I may have missed or said incorrectly, or some suggestions for part 10, because part 10 is probably going to be a bit of a special episode, even though I only made 10 episodes of the series in the span of, like, what, 7 years? But either way, I am more than thankful to see how large this series has gotten. I might do more of these now if my video backlog doesn't get too clogged, and yeah, I am definitely open to suggestions and whatnot to make my next upcoming videos. So yeah, I guess with all this said, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Once again, if you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you are not subscribed. If you're not subscribing, if you like Midwestern rail fanning content, what are you doing? So yeah, guys, that is the end to part 9 of exploring epic abandoned railroad crossings on Google Maps. So I guess with all that said, this is G.C.R. Productions signing over and out. See you then.